So now that we have this gizmo here, let's go ahead and just like when you had transpose and you click, so I hit Y to toggle back to transpose, and you click on your model, you're going to see it reset your pivot. So now I can, move or scale from this direction here where this pivot is set, and it's also inheriting that surface normal. So wherever that face direction is pointing, it will go ahead and inherit that direction with our transpose. The same thing is true with your gizmo. So if I hit Y to toggle our gizmo, you're going to see it inherited where that transpose was. However, we can't just click with the gizmo because frankly it's locked, and you're going to see there's a little lock icon right here. In fact, whenever you roll over any of these options right here, it's going to say move Y. Oh, also if you hit W and you roll over this, anything you roll over, it's going to say rotate screen, Alt to unlock, move Y, Alt to unlock. What that's telling you is if you hit Alt, you see that lock is going to toggle to an unlocked point here. So when you hold down Alt and tap, now it's going to behave like the previous transpose option did, which is to find that surface normal and align itself to it, as well as reset the pivot to wherever you click here. So if I put the pivot here, it's going to find that surface normal, so now I can scale along that direction, or I can rotate from that point in my screen view, or I can scale uniformly from that pivot point. Now you're going to see while we're doing that, it's kind of putting this pivot at weird angles here. If you hold down Alt to unlock this, you can, now when we're rotating, instead, if we don't have Alt held down, it's going to rotate our object. If you hold down Alt, now you're rotating the pivot. So you can manually go in here, and you can even hold down Shift and kind of reset your pivot manually. If you don't want to do that, if you hold down Alt, and again, holding down Alt unlocks, it puts you in gizmo pivot mode, I suppose. It puts you in gizmo mode. It's not an object mode where you're rotating the object. If you hold down Alt, it unlocks, and now you're in just gizmo mode. If you go over here and you hit this reset orientation, that's going to go ahead and reset it. So if I hold down Alt and kind of move this thing around, and you can actually just move this thing over and rotate it, whatever you want to do. If you hold down Alt and hit reset, it's going to reset it to Z forward, Y up, and then X to the left and the right. If you hold down Alt and tap this home icon, that's going to go to your axis here, which is kind of your world center. If I turn off our floor or our object center, if I go out of solo mode here, you're going to see that's going to put us, if we turn on the floor, it's going to go to the lowest subtool, but your axis center is going to be your real world axis, your 0, 0, 0. So that's a little bit misleading. Your floor is down here, but it's actually the center of the world is right here in the middle of his body. I'm going to go back into solo mode here, and you're going to see one more option that I want to talk about here, which is go to unmask center. Now, again, if I have my pivot, I'm holding down Alt to do this thing. If I have this and I reset it, it's going to keep that middle pivot, but it's going to kind of reset it to my world axis here. If I go home, it's going to go and snap to the center of the world. If I go to unmask mesh center and I click that, it's going to go whatever your mesh is selected, it's going to take the bounding box of your mesh and throw this pivot right in the middle of there. And again, if your pivot's messed up, you can go to unmask mesh center and then reset, and you're good to go, or vice versa. You can reset it and then go to mask center, and then you're all set up perfectly in the middle of the bounding box of your object. So now you can scale uniformly right from the middle of that object. Now there's a caveat to that center object. Right now I don't have X symmetry turned on. If I hit X, that's going to go up here to transform, and it's going to toggle your activate symmetry. If you need a little bit more information on this, go to, again, to my YouTube channel, Intro to ZBrush Part 1, and that'll walk you through all of this type of thing. But basically, hitting X toggles your activate symmetry on or off, regardless of what axis of symmetry you choose. So we toggle that on, and then we hold down Alt and say go to mesh center. What it's going to do is you're going to see my point goes off to the left. Now, why is it doing that? To illustrate that, I'm going to go out of solo mode. I'm going to Alt tap his bracelets here. So now, if I go back into solo mode, you're going to see we have these bracelets here. Now, if I Alt, again, this thing is set right in the middle of them, and I don't have X symmetry turned on for this subtool. So if I hold down Alt and say go to unmask mesh center, it goes right in between the bounding box created by both of those objects as if they were one object. However, if I hit X or go to activate symmetry right here, and then I hold down Alt and say go to unmask mesh center, that's going to go to the local bounding box as if it was across X symmetry. So what it's basically doing is looking at the bounding box on this side and the bounding box on this side, and it's going to the mesh center of the actual object right here. So now if you want to reset this orientation, you can hold down Alt and just kind of push this right here, or hold down Alt and you can find the direction of that, and then to get the direction that you want to go in, if this was like a perfect cylinder, you could just hold down Alt and tap that direction, and then hold down Alt and say go to mask mesh center, and then it'll go to the middle of that particular object. And that is because, again, I have X symmetry activated, which that makes sense if I got two separate objects over here. However, if I go out of solo mode and Alt tap his shirt here, and then I go back into solo mode here. If I hold down Alt and say go to Unmasked Mesh Center, if you wanted to go to the true Mesh Center, just tap X to turn off X symmetry temporarily, hold down Alt, go to Unmasked Mesh Center, and then hit X again, and then you can turn X symmetry back on.